All right, welcome back to the Valley Voices. I'm your host, Christina Wagner. My two guests, I have Rochelle McCrae and Johnny Rock Page.
Hello. I'm still here.
Sandwich between
I've got
two
the smelly
girls.
mic in front of my face, actually.
Oh,
so.
stop it.
They tell you you can only put one finger between your mouth and
Two.
theirs. Or two fingers. Okay.
Two fingers.
So it's a two-finger mic. Okay.
Okay. Getting back to you.
Okay. Still here.
All right, so Johnny Rock Page.
Yep.
That's such a great name.
Right.
Yes. It's a real name, by the way.
Your middle name really is Rock?
Yes. It was actually my middle name came after Father Rock. My dad was an altar boy, Dr. Page. So his best friend was Father Rock, and he was an altar boy. And so they named me after Father Rock.
That is such a great name.
Yeah.
Johnny Rock Page.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it. All right, so Johnny
Rock.
Page.
Page.
Johnny Rock Page. All right, so Superbike racer. Let's talk a
Yes.
little bit about that. You were retired.
Yes, I was.
Came out of retirement.
Yes, I did.
First and foremost, how fast do those bikes go?
You know, I think Roger Hayden, I think hit over like 205 miles per hour, one of my friends who races. So pretty fast. I mean, it's pretty scary too.
What would make you say, you know what? I want to get on a motorcycle and go 200 miles per hour.
I don't know, but I'm good right here.
You know,
I'll watch
it's not that I ever actually chose motorcycle racing. I mean, I saw this cool picture of Eddie Lawson dragging his knee in a corner one time, and to me, it just looked like poetry in motion when I was about 18 or 19 years old. And so I went and tried this sport. You know, some guy made sure that I knew a lot of details. You know, well, if you try it, you know, there's a big risk in it and all this. And I was just like, no, let's do it. And he made me come back Monday morning after I had to think about it. So I was there first thing, 8:30 in the morning. I decided I wanted to go racing. And so it's not that I actually was going to go racing long term, but I just went and tried it, and I actually happened to be good at it. My first race weekend out at Firebridge Raceway, from the back of the field, you know, as a novice, we have to wear these funny orange shirts, and we go in the second wave. Well, I caught up to the experts and beat everybody on the track that day. So I didn't even know what I had accomplished. But now that I look back, I realize the racer was born into the racing industry. I of course, I'm not the top best racer in the country, but at least I'm racing in the top division.
And
you've
won at Daytona.
Yeah, I've won nationals 3 times, once as an amateur, and then back in 2007 in front of my kids. That was an amazing time when I went in as an expert. It was
Isn't
incredible.
that kind of
really
a
cool.
big deal?
You know, anytime you win Daytona.
To win Daytona?
Yeah, winning Daytona is an exciting thing.
It's not like you got a participation award. I mean,
well, I mean, I when I crossed the finish line, I swelled with tears. I was really excited. You know, I've crashed so many times. I've hurt myself so many times. And when I was when I crashed at Daytona one time really bad, you know, as I'm trying to make my charge back into the industry as being a racer, you know, with the goals and dreams in front of me, my children were sitting there looking at me like I'm crazy. My knee was shaved off. I was messed up. I was mountain biking 2 hours a day prior to that. And all of a sudden the next day after I get all the surgery done, I can't move. I'm actually sitting in the bed, I remember, and I tried to move left and I couldn't move. I tried to move right and I couldn't move. And then finally I tried to sit up with my stomach muscle. And then I started laughing. And then I remember the laughing started turn into like a hysterical. I started crying. All of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I cannot move here. So sometimes the sport is extremely brutal, and I'm sitting there, you know, looking at my children like I'm sitting there telling them about, you got to go after your dreams, dream big, anything's possible. And then they're looking at me like I'm crazy, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm crazy. So, you know.
Well, I don't think you're crazy. I maybe that remains to be seen.
I think anybody who races motorcycles, you gotta have a little something.
All right, so you're slightly insane. All right,
a little
we can
insane.
work. All right,
A little bit.
but you had retired.
Yes.
You were done.
Yes. Last year I did announce my
And you were working
retirement.
on a television show, and you were
Yes.
really moving away from 200 miles per hour
Yes.
on a bike.
I was retired. I was happy. I didn't make it to the top of the pinnacle as far as I never won an AMA Pro Superbike race, which is the top league in America. However, I did qualify with that group, and I was part of it.
So
And
what
so I
decided
did-
you? What decided you? Oh, that's
What-
good grammar.
Hey, ain't. That's a word. We just say it enough times in any a word, right?
What made you decide to get back into the sport?
You know, when President Obama signed that NDAA, but do we have to talk politics? I guess so, huh?
I guess you kind of have to.
Okay, we'll try to keep it real clean. On January 1st, President Obama signed the National Defense Authorization Act, and I've as an American myself, I've lived such an incredible life. I've had so many freedoms and liberties, and never had to worry about being afraid of the government. And so it's a very serious matter when our president, crosses boundaries, in my opinion, and, signs that National Defense Authorization Act that basically allows them to use the military and put any American at their sole discretion or their judgment and say, you're a terrorist, and see, with no due process. And how many times have you got in an argument with somebody, and all of a sudden when you settle down, it's just a misunderstanding of a little bit of energy? So sometimes, go ahead.
What does that have to do with superbike racing? They're like,
I'm getting there. Well,
politics, racing. I'm sure there's some politics in racing. There's politics in everything, but politics.
Well, you're seeing, that's the fury side of me. I just started thinking about my children when I saw that law signed, and so I just felt like, there's a few chapters that go prior to this, but I don't know how much time we have here. However, that just sparked.
We're only an hour show.
Yeah, that sparked my heart, and when I heard about that, I just said, you know what? I'm going to run for president of the United States myself.
President of the United States.
Yes, president of the United States of America.
With no political background whatsoever.
Correct. Absolutely.
I like that.
But there is now. There's
okay. Now, right now,
sure.
we are in the primary.
Sure.
And it seems like the Republican Party is fighting amongst themselves, trying to, is it Mitt Romney? Is it Santorum? Is it Newt Gingrich? Is it Ron Paul?
Sure.
The Republican Party can't seem to get it together. What makes you different?
I'm different because I actually feel like, my path, everybody's got their own different mission in life, right? And my mission was, I see a country right now, I see a body who doesn't trust the head. And so I see a marriage that's gone bad. And so I have nothing in it for myself other than, the love of America and wanting to see this place, you have to have trust between the head and the body. And I see that the body doesn't trust the head. So I came up with a plan. I came up with a pledge to America, and some people started gathering around me who liked the pledge. And then, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for people offering their time for free and getting involved in my campaign. And so my pledge was two things. There's two agreements that we have to agree on. First thing, as Americans, we have to agree that majority vote rules. I don't care how controversial an issue is. At the end of the day, we have to come together as one and agree that majority rules. The second thing, if I'm going to be your president, then I will pledge this. I will never sign any bill or agreement that has anything to do with changing of legislation unless the popular vote comes in through a streamlined vote. So I think with technology, it's not an issue. We can go straight to the body and we can find out how they would shape our country in the next 4 years. And at the end of the 4-year term, we'll be happy that it's our 4-year term. So you're not going to have to blame me as the president, because I'm going to go and extrapolate what the body wants. I'm going to find out what America wants.
Okay. And using technology, you'll find out what America wants.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I noticed
Sure.
at the debate,
Mm-hmm.
and when you look at I'm a Republican, okay? I'm not proud of what some of the Republican Party is doing, but I am a Republican, or I have been, I guess. One of the things that was very frustrating for me at the debate is, as they were asking people these questions, how do you stand, where do you stand on this, where do you stand on that? And I've noticed on your website, those issues don't have your stance on, foreign affairs, taxes. Why is it that you don't have your position on these different?
Well, this is where I fall into. This is where I'm not your typical politician, and my plan is set up to where anytime somebody wants to know my opinion, we have put so much time and effort to say, okay, let's put all of our eggs in this one president, and then on a whim hope that this person runs our country based on all the opinions why we voted him into the White House in the first place, and hopefully he runs it good for the next 4 years. Well, I'm taking the stance, look, since I'm only going to sign, along with the body, then my opinions don't matter. I'm removing myself from the opinion category. So I'm going to find out what your opinions are from America, and then we're going to do a vote. And rather than having 1,000 stacks of high society, all this paperwork, you ask any attorney, they can narrow it down to just a couple paragraphs, real easy. And then we're going to make it available for the American people to vote on. And then once they vote on it, whether I like it or not, the popular vote, you'll see my signature of authority going right along with the popular vote. So, the second I start giving my opinion, now, there's 40 different issues that we could talk about at any given time. I don't think that America should be voting on a president because of an issue that they talked good about. Because what are they going to do when they have these other 39 issues that come up? I think that right now, the body of America does not trust the head. And so we need a president right now, simple cut, that they're going to only do what the body wants. I mean, sometimes your stomach tells you what you need, right? You got your eyes, and right now
this is true.
Right now, maybe the eyes are a little too greedy, or they're just taking everything they see. So
for people that want to connect with you and learn more, because again, we only have an hour, and
sure.
But for people that want to connect with you, learn more, your website.
Yes, they can go to presidentjohnnyrockpage.com, and they can kind of search through there. I've got a lot of fun photos they can check out.
And on Facebook, you have a Facebook page.
Yes.
You're on Twitter. And what I really like
is I have to do Twitter? Can't I run for president without Twittering?
That was what got Barack Obama.
Oh, gosh, please.
Although I don't know that that's a good thing.
Last time I Twittered, I got my house robbed. So I've just started Twittering again.
Well, we need to talk about safety. And we're going to get into social media about 12:45. Okay, we are about to go to a break. You're listening to The Valley Voices. I'm your host, Christina Wagner. That was Johnny Rock Page, superbike racer running for president of the United States.
Of America.
Let that resonate there with you. President of the United States here on The Valley Voices. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We'll be back in 2 minutes.